कक्षा 11 मा पढ्ने सम्पूर्ण विद्यार्थी भाइ बहिनीहरूलाई मेरो यस युट्युब च्यानल ड्रिम्स लर्निङ जोनमा स्वागत छ। कम्पलसरी इंग्लिश ग्रेड 11 NEV न्यू कोर्स ल्याङ्ग्वेज डेभलपमेन्ट युनिट 15 War and Peace. The essay Shall There Be Peace, written by Hermann Hesse. In this video, before reading a short biography of Hermann Hesse, about the essay, notes and references from the text, summary of the essay, ways with words, comprehension, critical thinking and writing. Before you read, what is war? Answer is war is an intense armed conflict between states, governments, societies or parliamentary groups such as mercenaries, insurgents and militias. It is generally characterized by extreme violence, aggression, destruction and mortality using regular or irregular military forces. Question number B. What happens if there is war in country? Describe its consequences. War destroys communities and families and often disrupts the development of the social and economic fabric of nations. The effects of war include long-term physical and psychological harm to children and adults, as well as reduction in material and human capital. Describe a devastating war in the world history. Question number C. Answer is the First World War was a global war originating in Europe that lasted from 28 July 1914 to 11 November 1918. It was the war between the Central Powers, Germany, Austria-Hungary and Turkey, and alliances France, Britain, Russia, Italy, Japan and USA, and ended with the defeat of Central Powers. It caused the fall of great imperial dynasties in Germany, Russia, Austria, Hungary and Turkey, Bolshevik revolution in Russia and groundwork for Second World War. It destroyed empires, created numerous new nation states, encouraged independence movements in Europe's colonies, forced the United States to become a world power and led directly to Soviet communism and the rise of Hitler. The total number of military and civilian casualties in World War I was around 40 million. There was 20 million deaths and 21 million wounded. Total number of deaths includes 9.7 million military personnel and about 10 million civilians. Short biography of Hermann Hesse. Born on 2 July 1877 and died on 9 August 1962. German-Swiss poet, novelist and painter. In 1946 he received a Nobel Peace Prize in Literature. Had troubled childhood, attempted suicide in 1892 and was placed in 2 separate mental institutions, worked in a bookshop and beginning his own writing career. First composed poetry, later moved to writing novels and essays. About the essay, composed in December 1917, a year before the end of World War I, a horrific war that killed millions of people. This essay hoped to bring peace. Only optimistic political orators and power war profiteers want war. Majority of people don't want war. He acknowledged a gap between the desire for peace and the feeling that there is nothing that the common person can do to halt the violence. No one is willing to shoulder the burden of bringing about peace, neither politicians nor ministers. People also want peace if there is a benefit for the side they are on. He appeals everyone to act according to the cry of mankind. Notes: Brest-Litovsk. The Treaty of Brest-Litovsk was a peace treaty signed in 1818 between Russia and Germany that ended Russia's participation in First World War I, an agreement between Soviet Russia, Germany and Austria-Hungary, signed in town of that name in Poland. By the treaty, Russia surrendered nearly half of its European territory, Finland, the Baltic provinces, Belarus, Poland and Ukraine, and parts of Caucasus. Herr Kuhlmann, 1873-1948, a German diplomat and industrialist. He served as Germany's Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs from 6 August 1917 to 9 July 1918. Georges Clemenceau. He was a French politician, physician and journalist who served as Prime Minister of France during the First World War. A leader of Radical Party, he played a central role in the politics of France's Third Republic. He was one of the principal architects of the Treaty of Versailles at Paris Peace Conference of 1919. He took a harsh position against defeated Germany. Woodrow Wilson. He is an American politician and academic who served as the 20th President of the United States from 1913 to 1921. Leading a Congress in Democratic hands, he oversaw the passage of progressive legislative policies unparalleled until the New Deal in 1939. The Federal Reserve Act, Federal Trade Commission Act, Clayton Antitrust Act and Federal Farm Loan Act were some of these new policies. His second term was dominated by American entry into World War I. David Lloyd George. He is a British liberal politician and statesman. As a Chancellor of the Exchequer 1908 to 1915, he was a key figure in the introduction of many reforms that laid the foundations of the modern welfare state. His most important role came as the highly energetic Prime Minister of the wartime coalition government from 1916 to 22 during and immediately after the First World War. He was a major player at the Paris Peace Conference of 1919 that recorded Europe after the defeat of the Central Powers. Summary of the essay. The essay begins with the three references: the desire of Woodrow Wilson, the President of the USA, David Lloyd George, the PM of Britain, to continue the war until the final victory. Treatment of Italian socialist Mergari as a madman for his natural and human wars, and a Wolf dispatch spreading rumors about Germany not accepting peace proposal offers by allies. In other words, the efforts to establish peace are crushed. The peace negotiations between Germany and Russia have started in Brest-Litovsk. Kuhlmann, a German diplomat, has opened the session talking about the peace with the reference of Bible quotations, but the words of leaders can't be trusted. The world has drawn its interest in these two countries where the destinies of nations will be determined. People are hopefully looking in Brest-Litovsk where peace negotiations are going on between the Central Powers and Russia. At the same time, they are watching the Western Front in dreadful anguish for the appalling battle of the all-time. All except war profiteers and optimistic political leaders are worried about war. In both camps, only a minority seriously believes in decisive victory. But none of the sane people believe that the victory will fulfill humanitarian aims, though all our statesmen speak about them in their speeches. The final battles of the world war are more destructive and bloodier because political aims are fulfilled by the criminal instrumentality of war. If the leaders in their sensational speeches talk about the final victory of one camp, it is not the victory of humankind, it's the victory of militarism which we hate. Any single word or war aims in their arguments is absurd. Mutually contradictory hopes and plans cannot justify unbelievable scope of massacre. All people are awaiting the outcomes of the Russian peace negotiations. We have love and gratitude for Russians because it is determined to end the war. The half of the world is suffered of starvation. All human efforts have been finished. However, France is making preparations for war, a mass slaughter. The final victory of war is no more than the final hateful triumph of dynamite and machine over human life and the human spirit. In such a situation, it is our sacred duties to stop this catastrophe, but we say we can't do anything in such situation because we are neither politicians nor ministers and we haven't power either. This is only our excuses to be away from our responsibilities. We don't do anything unless we feel urgency. Even the politicians and leaders do the same thing. We must not be indifferent. We mustn't be indifferent just blaming others. To blame others is our cowardice, flexibility and unwillingness to do something. Sydney's Sinino, Italian Minister of Foreign Affairs, refused to say anything that might give aid and comfort to the enemy in response to the Mergari. Even we give evidence of the same attitude like a wolf dispatch. We accept everything as they come to us. We also become happy to our victory. We abhor when our camp loses. Even we are accepting war as a political instrument. It is shameful. Everybody everywhere does not have enough strong reasons for peace. Only few men are moody extremists or dreadful criminals and who deserve our contempt and hearted want war. Such people in both sides are arming untiringly for the final holocaust in the West. It is possible because we are too lazy, too easygoing and too cowardly, and in our secret hearts we approve or tolerate the war. We throw away all the resources of our minds and soul to the wind and let the machines roll on. What political leaders and armies do is secondary things. First of all, we are selfish. We are serious, we can stop war. When men feel anything necessary, they perform an action. We admire Russians when they have laid down arms and manifested their will to make peace. Everybody on this earth has admired this marvelous decision of Russia, but at the same moment we reject the obligations that show such feelings. Every politician in the world is in favor of revolution and only wants laying down of arms only in the camps of the enemies. Russians have shown that weak can be mightiest. Why don't others follow them? Political leaders never raise up to champion such a great idea like this. They only hope to profit making false idealism. Most of the rulers in Europe want war, which all Europeans except a small number of profiteers don't want. We can bring peace if we are not controlled by useless provocations such as wolf dispatch and stop talking like Sonino. A slight humiliation, a concession, a human impulse can do no harm to us. The bloodiest war for just a little national vanity is not justifiable. The statesmen who ignore the cry of mankind must be expelled. Otherwise, their stupidity can take lives of millions of people. We must not close our ears in such a dreadful war. Peace is at our hands. It is at every heart as a thought, as a desire, as a suggestion, as a hidden power. We must open our hearts to it. We must devote ourselves for a little while to remove all obstacles, barriers of peace, then we shall have peace. If we do so, we help to bring peace and we find ourselves worthy for such a great task, but till now we are carrying out our shared guilt for not bringing it. Ways with words. Question number A. Match the words on the left side with their meanings on right side. Proclaim, declare, unswerving, steady or constant, magnanimous, generous, forgiving, trample, cross, tremendous, use, inevitable, unavoidable, dire, dreadful, anguish, distress, impending, upcoming, ruthless, pitiless. Question number B. Fill in the blanks with the suitable words from the list. The soldiers suffer appalling injuries during the attack. The sea is sanguine about prospects of the economic development of the country. Innocent people get unexpected slaughter in the war. The crowd laughed at the absurdity, the singer's behavior. The intellectuals should be worried about the horror and futility of war. He sends her reluctance to continue the work. They bestir themselves at the first light of morning. Comprehension. Answer these questions. Why was the Italian socialist Mergari treated like a madman? Answer. Italian socialist Mergari was treated like a madman because he spoke a few natural and human words in the Italian chamber. Number 2. Can political aims be attained by the criminal instrumentality of war? If yes, how? Yes, political aims can be attained by the criminal instrumentality of war. Political leaders have an excellent oratory skill, and by delivering powerful words and phrases, they instill senses of patriotism in people. They make people blind supporters, brainwashing their minds, and thus they become ready to die for the nation. Which hopes and plans were said to be mutually contradictory? So answer. The hopes of peace negotiation in Brest-Litovsk between Germany and Russia and the plan of France to attack Germany are said to be mutually contradictory. Number D. What can be the sacred duty of every man of good will on earth? The sacred duty of every man of good will on earth can be not to be indifference to the ongoing war, but to do utmost to prevent the final battle. Is it good to tacitly accept war as an instrument of politics? If not, what else should be done? It is not good to accept war silently as an instrument of politics. Instead of war, we must give enough reasons for peace. Only few people want war. We have to show our content and sincerest hearted to them. How can we stop war in the world? We can stop war if we decide to devote ourselves exclusively for a little while to clearing away the obstacles and barriers to peace. What is the main message of this essay? The war is just a criminal instrument to fulfill political aims of some sanguine political orators and other war profiteers. We common people must understand this and show our contempt and hearted to those, and must be serious and determined to establish peace permanently. Critical thinking. Are warmongers the greatest enemies for peace? What do you want to suggest to them? Yes, the word warmongers mean people who encourage or advocate aggregation towards other countries or groups, or they encourage a country to go on war. These people are the root causes of human conflict. According to Albert Einstein, peace is not merely absence of war, but the presence of justice, law, and order. In short of government. Peace is the state of harmony, lack of violence, or freedom from fear of violence. In the presence of war, such things vanish. Violence, injustice, cruelty, lack of human rights prevail during the war. Only warmongers are the responsible for crossing peace, and so they are the greatest enemies for peace. I would like to suggest them giving up war-loving nature. Millions of innocent people may lose their lives because of their nature. People suffer from starvation. They lose their families, properties, and even the economy of country is badly affected. People live in a terror of losing lives. For the sake of humankind, they must transfer their love to war to love to mankind. Number B, Nobel Prize winner American novelist John Steinbeck 1902-1968 once said, all war is symptom of man's failure as a thinking animal. Do you agree with the novelist? Why? I absolutely agree with the John Steinbeck's saying all war is symptom of man's failure as thinking animal. As evidences of past and present, war is always worst thing in the world. Except a few sanguine political leaders and war profiteers, it gives benefit to no one. The outcome of war is never good as it causes immense loss of human life and resources. Even the winning countries have lots of casualties and losses. The conflict are never resolved in war, but it makes complicated more trust of becoming powerful, or any statesman or leader gives birth to war. But there may be deaths and destructions of millions of people and property only caused by their thirst for power. Does any war end all wars and bring lasting peace to the world? Discuss. This question reminds me of a slogan of the First World War, the war to end all wars. Many idealists like G.H. Wells used this term, hoping that the destructive First World War would persuade mankind to abandon war as a means of solving political disputes. But the more destructive war happened, named as the Second World War. The end of the First World War was hoped to bring lasting peace in the world, but happened just opposite. As far as the lasting peace in the world is concerned, I agree with the greatest philosopher Sigmund Freud. It is just opposite to the saying iron cuts iron or diamond cuts diamond. Any war can never end all wars. It is not only the matter of political conflicts that bring wars. In response of a letter by Albert Einstein to Sigmund Freud asking causes and solution of war, Freud replies that war exists all time. He said that there are two causes of war, material and psychological. He further said that idiotic force becomes active in our mind when we want destruction, resulting into war. Elimination of idiotic instinct from our mind is impossible. So there is no permanent solution of war. Love to war is human's natural instinct. Until human race survives, wars also exist. Thus, ending of war and bringing lasting peace is beyond our control. Why do you think countries go in war even though they have their own boundaries? It could be far better if the geographical boundaries could stop countries go in war. Today's war is not like of ancient and primitive wars, which were fought with physical forces. The nature of war has been totally changed because of advancement in modern science and technology. Modern weapons are more powerful, more destructive, and can attack anywhere, any distance. There are various reasons which can be categorized into biological and psychological for war, which crosses across the geographical boundaries. Write essays in about 500 words on the following topics. Please read this essay. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe this channel and press the bell icon for the latest updates.